What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Edison Club podcast. I'm your host, Mike, joined tonight by my teammates, Austin Butcher and Ty Payne. And let me go ahead and set the scene for you. So, the year is 2015. It is the Nationals in Nashville, Nashville, Tennessee. I can get it right here in a second. Nashville, Tennessee. And Austin Butcher has decided to play Cleforts and basically took him almost all the way. So let's talk about your experience there, and we're going to go over and talk about all the decks, our favorite decks, and where they took us throughout our Yu-Gi-Oh careers.
Oh man, it actually lives like rent free in my head from that Nationals. I kind of want to back it up before we get there. That's okay.
Of course.
Shout out to Brandon Combs because I probably would have never touched this deck if it wouldn't have been for him. But I think it was Secrets of Eternity was when the deck came out, and I think he picked it up and didn't like it, and he sold me like the whole deck, a Spellground Master's Calculator for like $300, which was just an insane deal. He was, such a boss for doing that. And I'd been on like a short break. At the very end of Duelist Alliance, I was just kind of burned out of the three, big decks. And I was just on a break. Randomly came in. Brandon said he was selling it. I was interested in the deck. I remember like studying it from the OCG, and it just caught my eye, and I just picked it up. Started playing really good with it instantly. Me and Steve Hughes, we went to Statesville locals like every weekend for like 3 months straight. And I started like catching fire with it. Like I was winning every locals, and it was just, I don't know, I was just playing really good. The deck was feeling good. We went to an OTS. Can't remember where it is, but I remember you two guys were with us. And I actually took Sackett that day, really close to winning it, but I think I lost to Michael Keller in the finals.
That was at Timmy Max, actually.
Yeah, it was. You're right. Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
And then we were regionals, and I lost the very last round. Me and you played that day, actually. And I lost the very last round, knocked me out of top 8. I think I finished like 10th place. And then we had a ban list, and I think it barely touched the deck. Like Scout went to 2, something else. Sacrifice went to 1 or 2. I think 1. And I was like second guessing the time, but I stuck it out. And then National came, and I was still feeling really good. And day 1, I think we played 8 rounds. And I played like so many Necros that day. Really lucked out. I think it was all Necros, and I really beat. And the deck just had such good matchups against some decks back in the day. And I think I went 8-0, and then day 2, I actually went 1-2, and I was like, there's no chance I top. Blake was like talking about it. We were all ready to go home, and then they top 64, and they called my name like, place. And I was just hyped out of my mind back then. I remember being so excited. Just because I never thought I would top nationals. And I'm pretty sure it was like 3,000 or 4,000. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. And then played Necros, which is a guy I played in Swiss, and was feeling good about the deck. He's actually one of the guys that beat me in Swiss, though. We went game 3, and I just done the stupidest play of my life. Literally should have won the game. But I tried to jank the guy out of the game, I'll admit it. Done something really, like, didn't mean to, but in the heat of the moment, I done something wrong. I'll admit it these days. But karma came back and got me, and I deserved to lose after that. I literally could have penduled up and won the game, and it's actually a meme. And I should have been top 32, but top 60 Cleefort back then. I was hyped. Probably the most success I've had in the game was with Cleefort. Went on a really good run, I feel like. And I would do anything just to go back because that play, I'll never forget it. All I had to do was pendulum summon, but instead I paid it, and he MST'd. And I knew he had the MST because I just Minecraft.
Yeah.
Good time.
Good time. Do you think that Cleefort is your favorite deck?
Competitive favorite, yes. All-time favorite, no. I think my all-time favorite goes to Dino Rabbit, and I mean, I can go and speak on that deck, but if somebody else wants to go ahead and elaborate on theirs, I don't mind.
Um, I can jump in for a little bit if you want me to.
Hey, you take over, man. I'll come back to Dino Rabbit.
Um, so like for me, it's just kind of like, well, I'm like one of the grandpas of our group. You know, I just like it took me like a long while to find a deck that I just really just like thoroughly enjoyed. Like going through like goat like I'm going through like goat format and going through like perfect circle and like all these different formats. I really didn't find a deck I enjoyed Crystal Beast, but it really like it was just that was Potato Tie that really enjoyed Crystal Beast back then.
Potato,
Uh,
not potato tie.
Potato Tie, trying to play against Gladiator Beasts with Crystal Beast is just it's not a fun time. Um, but when Black Wings came out, that's when I found like a deck I just really thoroughly enjoyed. It it remind like because I tried to play Six Samurais and like it just during Teledad that just wasn't the move. And then like with Black Wings, like it reminded me of the Six Samurai, and on top of that, it was just like it was also a dark based deck, which I always loved like dark based decks and whatnot. And I started seeing like success with that, like as time went on, like just to me like still Potato Tie, just like getting like top 32 at like regionals here and there, and then like after that, just like Black Knights just kept getting hit like by the ban list. Just it
Yeah.
was it just it went it like it got hit by like a ban like every ban list for a solid year, and that was just wild.
It's
Yeah,
crazy
because
how
those cards were so crazy.
Yeah, like I remember when I played like Striker Black Wings like with Dark Strike Fighters and all that, and then like that was the first like I think that was the first synchro to get banned was Dark Strike Fighter. It went from 3 to 0, and then Gale went to 1, and then we got Vayu, and then like I was excited for that when Vayu got announced because I was like, okay, I can pick up a Crush card because it just got mass released. And then Crush card gets banned. I was like, okay, all right now.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine in Edison if Blackwing had 3 Gale?
It'd be
oh,
insane.
it would ruin the format.
Imagine if
I
Strike
feel
Fighter was
like
still there.
I feel like a lot of decks would just play multiple Gales because it literally just solos anything.
Oh,
It really does.
you really think about it. Like we talk about like how long like Burning Abyss survived the ban list and Mermails, but Blackwings, for like a year and a half, like you said, Ty, it literally like survived the ban list. It took like Whirlwind to 1, Kalute to 1, Gale to 1. It took so much for that deck to finally die.
And
I
even
remember
then
YCS.
it's still
I think
topped YCS Atlanta. Shoutouts to Chase Simpson.
I think
Yeah.
it went to 2, if I remember right. Something weird.
Yeah.
What was that?
I think Icarus went to 2 at one point too. It was so bad.
Yeah, Icarus went to 2, and Icarus went to 1 at one point because I remember Courtney Waller. He played at YCS Charlotte that year that Sean Couvert won, right after Nazar with Samurais. He was playing a Value Turbo deck, and he played he played one Icarus in, and I was just like this man is dedicated.
Yeah.
It's
That was his
insane.
deck, man. Like
it was. But
it
like
didn't matter what ended up happening. He was going to play some Blackwing.
yeah, for sure, definitely for sure. Well, after Blackwing, I started like dabbling in like the like plant variants and stuff. Boyd, I know you remember this. Butcher, I don't know if you'll remember this, but remember Junk Doppel?
Drunk
Actually,
Doppel, yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But then it was like I think that same year is when the Darkwood deck came out, and for a while I pooped on it. There's video coverage of it. I pooped on the deck first just because it wasn't doing anything, and then I don't know. I just curiosity killed the cat, and I just started like playing. Started playing with Dark World, and I played that for like, gosh, the next 3 or so years straight, like all the way through like Dragon Ruler and Mermail, and it's just everything. It just like part of me was just very dedicated to the deck, but also like another part of me was just very stubborn and just wanted to believe it was the best deck.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be a very like bad mindset to fall into because like one of my favorite decks of all time is Noble Knights, and that deck was literally never good. It was never good. It had like a little bit of time during like the time period where Summon Sorceress was legal. I remember seeing it like actually top a few events. But I played that deck through like so many formats, and the deck was just simply not good. And I had convinced myself that it was good, especially with the player that I was back then. Like there was no shot that I was ever doing anything with that deck at all.
Hey, it was good. It was good enough for Billy Brake to pick up at one point in time.
That was true.
Crazy how expensive that deck was back in the day. It was so expensive.
It was probably the most expensive deck back then, honestly. I remember Medrot's peaked at like 75 to 100.
Oh, it was insane.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if the deck had actually had the field spell that the deck has now, it probably could have been decent because the field spell is actually broken. Do you guys know what the field spell does?
Actually, I don't.
All right, let me read this to you. You'll see exactly what I mean when I read you this. So it's a field spell. Once per turn, if a Noble Knight card or cards you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one equipped card you control instead. During your main phase, you can banish this card until your next standby phase, and if you do, place one Noble Knights of the Round Table from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your field zone. Then you can special summon one Artorigus monster or add to your hand one Noble Arms card from your deck or graveyard. So it's just an extender that summons the vanilla guy from deck every single turn, or from grave. And that's what that deck needed, was a way to not just have to normal summon every turn.
Yep.
So it's literally E-Telly every turn.
That's insane.
It really is. That's exactly like it's exactly what it needed.
Yeah, unfortunately, and terraforming was at 3 back then, so you can imagine how consistent it would have been. But unfortunately, due to just the natural progression of the game, it's unplayable now, sadly. But you know, that's how it goes. Was it ever truthfully playable? Like, let me just be honest with myself, you know.
I think Farfa coming out with Burn Abyss, I think that was really like the final nail in the coffin for that deck.
Yeah, and that random period of time where Snatch Steal was unbanned for some reason.
Yeah, and now it's funny. Change of Heart and Snatch Steal are both legal, and they do nothing.
Yeah, they don't see much play. So, would you say that Dark World was your favorite deck ever? I feel like it's probably close between that and BA.
I would say Dark World was probably my favorite deck, just because of I love the plays that it's able to do. Like I even like what it's able to do like in modern, like you know, some like I don't really play modern like that much, but sometimes, you know, I'll pick my deck up and like shuffle it, and it's like, dude, this some pre-broken lines here.
Yeah.
But BA out of any deck I played gave me the most success I've ever had in the tournament. When we went to that regional that was in that like a rundown like airport airport like
the airplane hangar.
Yeah, the airplane hangar. That's what I was trying to think of.
Where they were literally tearing it down next to us.
Yeah, Butcher, like, you should have been there. It was bad. It was absolutely awful. Like,
yeah, it was like 85 degrees in there. They're tearing the building down. It's like literally a metal building, like a carport, like a giant one. And it's in the middle of the summer.
It looked
Wow.
it was very sus, very sus. It was like in a field.
Yeah. Yeah. In the middle of nowhere.
Like I got, but yeah, at that event, it's honestly hilarious that I even did as well as I did at that regional, because like I just got back into the game, like because I took like a small break, and because like if at the start of the year I was playing like Domain Monarch, and then I switched over to BA, and I knew about I knew about the kaiju monsters, but I didn't know about interrupted kaiju slumber, and I went 7-2 at that event with no kaiju slumbers.
I remember that. You were like, what is kaiju slumber? And I was like, bruh. Bruh. I don't have the button that Frazier has, so I'll just do
Yeah.
it. Bruh.
I was like, dang, I probably could have won the I probably could have won the event if I'd have known about this card. This card's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. You probably would have, honestly.
Because I only lost 2 rounds the whole day. I went out of 9 rounds, went 7-2.
Yeah. I remember I bombed that tournament. I did not play Noble Knights. I played Monarchs, actually, when Monarchs were good, and probably just didn't know what I was doing, because I don't truthfully feel like I knew what I was doing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Until like a year and a half ago, unfortunately.
Same.
Sad story, sad times, 20 years of my life. But, at least we got there eventually, right? Better late than never.
But I would say Dark World was probably so I have it in 2 categories. My favorite modern deck would probably tie between Dark World and Heroes.
Yeah. Heroes, man, that's a good deck too. I've always secretly wished that deck could be tier 1. I know it will never be tier 1 because it's a legacy deck, but I did really enjoy my time playing that deck.
Every time I'll peek in on like how regionals are going in other places, just to and I'll see like a hero deck like getting to the top 8, and it gives me like a shard of hope, and then like I'll pick my deck up and I'll open like 3 Vion, 2 Mali. I'm just like, okay, I know I know not to play this deck right now.
Yeah, unfortunate.
But
yeah,
but but with Edison, my all-time favorite deck now is Diva Hero.
True Hero should go back to playing it.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, you should go back to Diva Hero.
Yes, Cairo. If you're listening to this, this is your friend Ty. Go back to Diva Hero.
Go back to Diva Hero.
We say this because we care.
Yeah, exactly. Butcher, do you want to circle back around to Dino Rabbit? Why you like Dino Rabbit so much?
Oh man, so I'm kind of like Ty. I'm not really. I mean, I'm old, but I'm not like old, I guess. But I was actually playing during the Yu-Gi Kaiba days, scraping whatever I could together, and all the way up till actually the original Edison. That's when I first got my competitive deck. But even then, I really wasn't playing competitive, I guess. I was like holding myself back. I thought I knew more than everybody, I guess. All these tech cards, I thought I was just ahead of the game. But really, I was just a bad player. And I think we've all been there at one point. But, fast forward to 2012, and it was actually the second Dino format is what I call it. When Rabbit was at 2, Tour Guide was at 2. A bunch of other stuff was kind of like limited or semi-limited during that time. And there was somebody that used to go to our locals. His name was Jacob. And he was selling Dino Rabbit for so cheap. And I really I wanted it bad. So, I gave him $40 for a whole Dino Rabbit deck, which was just an insane deal. And kind of started playing. Started going to locals more, which was at the flea market. Ty started playing with me more. Started play testing just insane. I just wanted to get better. And I finally realized that I really wasn't good because I was losing a lot of games. And then I was nowhere. I just started winning a lot with Dino Rabbit. Started playing really good. Started understanding the game from a different point of view. And I actually went to my first real regionals with China Top. And I think it was at Star City Games. Do you remember that one, Ty?
Yeah, I remember that. One thing I think was really like a credit to like how we would like do with like the regionals. I mean, like we wouldn't like winning the regionals, but like we would get our invites and stuff. I think one thing that helped us is like even like after the flea market, like we spent like a lot of time in my basement playtesting.
Oh man, probably some of the most like playtesting time I've ever put into the game. I
Yeah,
remember every Friday and Saturday night, me and you were like playing together, doing videos, playing DB, just doing whatever, playing for hours and hours. And then we would wake up Sunday morning and go to the flea market and play until they like closed down.
dude, like the basement was legendary,
Oh,
absolutely legendary.
It
um,
was. The
it
basement
really.
was in fact legendary.
But fast forward a little bit to Star City. Actually, my first ever regional top, and I was like Mr. Bubble basically. I was 48th place. Probably truly shouldn't have topped that regional, but got really lucky with my tiebreakers. And I mean, I know 48th, it's nothing, but back in the day, whenever I really wasn't playing competitive, to go to like a real regional like that and do that, I thought I was like getting really good. I could see signs of improvement, and I just kept playing Dino Rabbit, and it's actually my favorite deck to this day in terms of like not really competitiveness, just how much I like it and enjoyed playing it. I think Cleefort takes the top spot because of what I did with it and all that, but I never truly enjoyed playing Cleefort like I do Dino Rabbit. That deck will always have a special place in my heart, and I would do anything to be able to go back to that format. I think the first Dino Rabbit format is kind of toxic, but I think the second coming of it is a little bit better. There's so many decks that could like pop or you could play, and you ain't got to worry about like the wind up loop and all that other stuff. It's just a really fun. I feel like it's a very underexplored format, and I would love to see the player base pick it.
Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely be really cool. What I was about to say, I lost my whole train of thought here. So do you like the deck's playstyle as a whole? Do you think that's what draws you to it? Did you like the cards in it? What about it did you like so much?
I loved like the stun aspect of it. I guess I love just everything about it. I mean, there was nothing in the
Some men
world
just
like
want to watch the world burn.
there's nothing like opening up Bunny and going into like a Laggy or a Dolka and setting five. Back then you could set two warning, Judgment, Macrocosmos, and a Phoenix Chain. And, it was GG, you're not getting through this. I mean, especially whenever you made like Lagia, because then you have like four negates, an effect negation. Everything your opponent tries to do is getting banished. Inzectors can't do anything against that. Wind ups, you literally negate their first summon and they just crumble. I mean, it was just so fun, like you said, watching the world burn. But
there's a
Yes.
I
there's a
out
there's a
too. I
there's
mean,
a
you did.
there's a there's a joke in there somewhere.
You didn't have to like open up Bunny to win. I mean, you could literally just like sometimes tour guide into Sangan and sit on it, or summon your vanilla monsters and sit on it with the four back row. Direct Guiva, attacking over stuff because 1700 was actually a pretty big beat stick in that format. But I don't know, the deck just it was so fun. I love control decks. I played decks like Evil Swarm, Dino Rabbit, Cleefort, Satello Knight. All of them are like stunny decks, and even like Gravekeepers. But I don't know, there's something about that deck. It'll always be my favorite deck of all time. I don't think anything can trump it.
Just something about Dino Rabbit, huh?
Man, something about that little furry bunny.
Hey, I
Yeah,
respect it.
I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead. No, you good, Ty. Go ahead.
I remember when the set that had the Evil Swarm stuff came out. I remember you like we were me and you were talking about it, and like you were like I remember you were trying to get a hold of it, and like everybody just had it for like an exuberant amount of money, and we'll go to Walmart right now. We'll just buy all the packs.
Dude, I remember that. You know what's insane about that? I think we spent like maybe $100 and pulled the whole deck.
Yeah, we literally like pulled the entire deck, and it was just like it's like here you go.
It was like Lavalval chain and everything. Everything got
Yeah,
pulled.
I
It
think
was
I think we both got a Lovato chain of peace out of that.
Yeah, I remember that, man. We were up all night. We kept like we would go buy some packs, go to the car, go buy some packs, go to the car,
Yeah.
and it was just insane. I remember people were trying to sell the deck for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Like
Yeah.
the stuff people were wanting like $500 or $600, and it's like it's just hype. It's
Yeah.
literally just hype. It was not the end all be all deck. It was just so much to it, and the deck was actually way better in the OCG than it was the TCG. Because TCG we got it too late. We got it when spellbooks were coming around and dragon rulers were tier 0, and almost too late for the deck. But the deck did have some success. I mean, you were still able to play it. I actually got quite a few tops with Evil Swarm back in the day, but I mean, you had to be like Ophion or something back in this time.
Yeah.
But that's also another like top 5 favorite deck of mine. I really love Evil Swarm.
Yeah, it was definitely a really strong deck. It like I played it for a little bit myself. I I don't know. It's I liked I would have like love hate relationships with like all or like the rabbit decks. I would like really enjoy them, get burnt out, put them down, pick them back up again, and then it'd just be like just like a never ending cycle with those.
Man, something about that bunny. I played that bunny for like almost 2 years. Even when it went to 1, I was still playing a bunny deck.
Yeah. Bunny was so good in Evil Swarm too, man. When it resolved, it was crazy.
Oh, getting to Heliotrope. I mean, Ophion, getting Pandemic. I mean, it was so hard for certain decks to get over an Ophion with Pandemic back in the.
Then it was so random, like a couple years after that, when Exciton Knight came out, that you could summon that, nuke the field. If they try to stop it, you can use Pandemic on it because it was randomly an Evil Swarm monster. That was obnoxious too.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
insane.
So, what do you guys think that my favorite deck of all time is?
I think it's between 2 decks. I mean,
Okay.
I think
You
it's
probably
easy.
know.
I think it's super easy to say Light Sworn, but I don't think it's Light Sworn. I think it's Dark Magician.
Okay. All right, Ty, what's your guess?
I think it's between Light Sworn and I agree with Butcher, like Dark Magician. I was gonna be like I was gonna throw like some history back, and I was gonna be like, one of your favorite decks is probably still like Absolute Zero, like
Yeah.
all them different Absolute
I
Zero.
do love
variants.
Absolute Zero.
Wait, I got
I
a
do.
Dark Force. I think Burning Abyss actually could be one of them.
Okay, so let me go off here and let me explain the first one, which obviously is Lightsworn, and I've talked about this before. But when I was a kid and I started going to the flea market, the owner's son had all of Lightsworn, the whole thing. This is when JD it has one print, it's a secret. And I think this is right after the list that put Lumina and Charge both to 1. So it literally is like Edison format. And I thought that deck was so cool. I loved the way, like it milled itself, and Judgment Dragon was so good. I remember losing all the time to this guy playing JD. And that always made me want to play the deck. And it was so expensive, and I just couldn't afford it. So I played the deck without JD and without Honest, and that went about how you would expect that it would, terribly. And I remember Honest gets printed out of a special edition as an ultra rare, and I bought, I guess, 2 of them the day it came out. I guess it was at 2. Then like a month later, JD gets a gold rare reprint out of the gold series. So I get my JDs. And I was so happy with this deck, man. Like, it just felt so good to play it. And then unfortunately, around the time Tengu format really took off, the deck just wasn't really good anymore. Like, I think it was part of the reason was probably like Agents was such a good deck. Everyone played like Agent Hate, like Light Mirrors. And you just kind of got caught in the crossfire. And Herald of Orange Light was a good card. Valor on Lumina hurt really bad. So it was also right around the time where I stopped playing for the first time. So I don't play Lightsworn anymore. Quit playing it. And then in Hat format, I have no idea why I didn't play Lightsworn Ruler and chose to play Noble Knights instead, like an actual idiot. Honk, honk, clown noises. Like, what was I doing? why did I not play Lightsworn Ruler? The deck was insane. So I didn't. I missed that. And then I end up getting max rarity Lightsworn like a couple years after that. The deck's not even good until Minerva comes out. And then this deck is actually tier 0 if you have Minerva, which I didn't. So I got rid of my max rarity Lightsworn deck again. This was the most max I've ever had it. I had 3 Ghost First Ed Honest. I had 3 CP Luminas. I had 3 Ulti Judgment Dragons. I had Secret or Ultra First BLS, IOC. I had the whole thing, max rarity, max edition. Sold it for nothing because it really wasn't worth that much back then. Ulti JDs were like $100 a piece, and now they're like $400 for like moderately played. Idiot. Don't know why I didn't keep it. And when I started playing Edison, my first Edison deck was actually Diva Hero because I refuse to play Lightsworn low rarity. It just doesn't feel right to me. I don't feel like it works as good. It's not as consistent. And Justin had the deck, and he hooked me up with it, sold it to me very cheap, and I've just kind of, a little at a time, picked things up, secret JDs. I have Collector's Rare Honest, which I actually wish I'd kept my secrets, but finally got the CP Lumina, Turbo Pack Garoth, and all those, and it's easily my favorite deck. But there's another deck that's very, very close to being my favorite deck, and it's crazy that it is, but Butcher was right, it's BA is like my second favorite deck. So it's funny, like both decks work around milling, and one is like heaven and one is like hell. But I think that's what I liked so much about BA was like it kind of played like better Lightsworn. Got to play Tour Guide, got to mill with Dante for cost, just like Charge, Farfa, Graph, Seer, all these cards. And I played that deck for forever. And I'm always hoping that that deck gets new support in Modern, because that's probably the only deck that could pull me back. And I always tell people, like, it would take more than it just getting support. It would have to be good. Like, it would have to be one of the best decks. And I would start playing Advanced again just to play BA, because that's how much I love that deck.
I remember when the deck got announced back in the day. I remember like out of all the decks that were coming out, like Shadal and Stellar Knight, you were really the first only believer at the time of BA.
Yeah, like when they announced the cards, I was like, oh, these are really cool. And I read them and I was like, these are actually good. And everyone's like, shut up, boy, you play Noble Knights. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'm just like, okay. But I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, these are level 3 fiends. I was like, you can tour guide into these cards. Like, this is insane, actually. And it comes out and the deck is immediately just absurd because, like, 3 Skarm, 3 Seer, 3 Graph, 3 Tour Guide. Randomly, the BAs just get their effects off being sent to graves. So, like, Wind Blast is crazy. Some people play Regeki Break. I think Crush Card had just gotten, like, its errata. And it was, like, kind of okay at the time. People played, like, Rank Up Magic Astral Force. You could summon Pleiades over Dante. And, yeah, that was crazy. Like, I remember I bought my first playset of Dante's for $15 a piece.
That's wild.
It was, like, a month later, they were over 100.
I have to say that whole era with Shadal's and BA's till night, I honestly have to say that's probably one of my favorite times in Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than like Edison.
Same. I felt like those decks were, I really like triangle formats. There's like Shadal, BA, and Cleafort. Like, I like how there's options, but it's not so open that you can just play anything, because I think that leads into another problem where like side deck coverage can't possibly cover everything. But I think that was just a really healthy time in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Like, obviously there were cards that were broken, there were cards that needed to be addressed, but I don't think that, I think I would take those decks, including Necros in their full power, over Advanced today. Like 100%. Genlock and everything. Like, I just think the game was really at its peak right there.
I feel like we were playing like really, really well during that time period as well. Like, I remember Butcher, me and you and Steve were just playtesting nonstop, and then like we go. I remember we went to that Charlotte regional like that during that era, and went and just did really like did not well Well, for us, we did really well for how much playtesting we had done. We all three got our invites from that regional.
I remember that. Those were some good times. I remember jumping on the OCG bandwagon because I was like a really big like into OCG back in the day. I would just study them, and Taylor Knights were just tearing it up over there. And like everybody else, I just completely ignored BA. Didn't even think anything about it. I remember Boyd saying stuff, and I was like, "You play Nova Knights, man."
See, you see what I'm saying?
I'm not bad. I'm sorry, Boyd. Like I think the world of you. But I was like, you play Nova Knights, man. I'm sorry. I don't think that deck can really be anything. Abyss Dweller was already out. So Taylor Knight's whole engine just stopped that deck and what it did. They had so many like cards that were just like dark outs, stop your opponent from milling, and I think if you activated a dark effect, we could detach a card to negate and destroy. And I
Yeah,
think it had
that
like
was when I don't remember when that card came out, but Satellar Knight Constellar Diamond was when
yes,
things started to get really crazy because I'm pretty sure. Oh, it was Tellar Knight Ptolemaeus, the guy that later gets banned because it lets every deck make Infinity. But at that time,
Yeah,
I just let every deck make Diamond, which was really crazy at that time.
yeah, it was actually nuts. Like that card single handedly said no to Shadow and BA, but BA was just it was insane. I mean, I remember it took the TCG by storm because we had nothing to go by. Like it was a TCG exclusive. No, everybody counted it out, and then like the very first regional, it just took over.
And
And
it only
then
got better from there.
yeah, I feel like Shadow kind of like hyped up for a while, and people were like, "Oh, when did this? When did that?" And then Shadow kind of really just took a back seat, and BA just took over. And I really think lead into the Nats that year, obviously BA won with Noah Green playing it, but it was very underrepresented in a top 64. I think there was like 35 Necros decks in the top 64, and like very few BA, and it was just so surprising because looking back at it, BA was the best deck. I mean, it was just insane. Trap BA was
Yeah.
so good.
I
I'm pretty
really
sure.
liked the variants of BA that people were playing that year because, like, that was back at the time where players like Patrick Hoban and like his clique, they had like they had the format so figured out that they had like a card pool of cards they wouldn't play until that year's like nationals. And I remember walking by and seeing one of his guys go like turn one, special BA, special the BA that's a tuner, make Virgil activate Secret Village. And Necros just can't do anything. They can't play any spell cards. The game was over. And I was like, man, that was so smart. Like, so simple, but that was so smart.
that's insane. I yeah, I didn't even know about that. I wouldn't even thought about that.
Yeah, like Virgil randomly being a spellcaster. And I just remember I saw that happen several times because this is like the one year I went to Nats and didn't have my invite because I was playing Noble Knights. But yeah, we've kind of shit on me the whole time on that, even myself. But I didn't have my invite because I didn't play a real deck for 13 fucking formats or something crazy like that. But yeah, just seeing that happen was crazy.
At least you didn't switch to a deck at the last second. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
if you know,
I'm
you
not,
know.
but if you know, you know, and if you know, you really, really know.
I wish I wouldn't have played Volcanics for that nationals. That was a mistake.
Oh man.
Could have been worse if we
So
played Noble Knights.
from yard, I've dug up my old Cleafort deck and like have a screenshot, and I hate myself, guys. I had ultimate Necro Valleys, ultimate Valors,
I
like
remember that. I remember you trading for Ulti Necro Valleys on the way there with someone.
yep. I had ulti warning. Everything else was like high. Yeah, it was like the only deck I can truly ever say that was max rarity. Everything was
Yeah.
first at highest rarity for its time. And I mean, it's probably something I'll never be able to do again. Like even like right now with Value Turbo, I'm like so deep into it, and it's still hard to get max rarity because of how expensive it is.
Yeah.
I think the biggest card with like max rarity in that deck, and I think you probably had the same the same problem with your deck as I will mine is Caius.
Yep. Kindness is like the only thing I'm lacking, and Secret Dark Greffers. Everything
Yeah.
else, Ultimate Values, Ultimate Armor Master. Now that the Raikou got reprinted, QCR Raikous.
I wish that they had given Caius rarity bump and rarity collection too, like just so there's like kind of like a nice rarity of Caius, because like probably the nicest rarity of Caius besides ulti is like I guess the Ultra from the structure deck. So it would have been really cool to see that card get like a CR and a QCR, just so like if you can't afford the ultis, you can at least get something.
Right.
I have an interesting question here for everyone. What's one deck that you didn't play that you regret not playing? Could have been because of the cost, could have just availability, or because you were too busy playing Noble Knights. Like, what's one deck that you just regret missing out on playing?
Oh, this is absolutely easy for me. Blue Eyes.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, we talk about that one a lot.
I would watch like you and like other people that had the deck for a while, like play the deck, and like I would watch like people like on YouTube like playing the deck. I'm like, this deck looks so awesome, like, but it just I just could never afford the deck, and then now it's just a meme.
Yeah, that's another deck I forgot that I played for as long as I did. I played Blue Eyes for a long time. Butcher, what about you?
Oh man, it's definitely got to be Invoked. I hate that I missed that.
Yeah, that's a
So
very Austin Butcher archetype there.
it is. So for the people that don't know, I quit like right after Nats. I think I played in one more regional with BA and done really good. And then to sum it up, I just ended up quitting the game for like all the way up to like last year actually. But
Yeah.
Invoke, it has me written all over it. I mean, it was literally all the decks I'd previously played all in one. Like it reminded me of Evil Swarm, Cleafort, all kinds of other stuff. I mean, the deck even had like really fast variants that I've seen was playing much like the Windbell cards or whatever they're called.
The Wind Witch.
Wind Witches,
Wind
yes.
Witch, yes. Yeah, those
That's
cards were so
crazy that
cool.
the deck was, like really fast, but it was also really controlled. It could make a Crystal Wing like so easily, and it could be like protected. I don't know that deck. I really wish I could have played that deck in its heyday.
I think I played that deck long enough for the both of us, Butcher. Like boy can confirm that.
Yeah, played that deck for forever.
Trying to pick the deck up low key max rarity. Like I know it's like no relevance or anything, but I hate I missed it that much.
Yeah. Dang. What's wild is you missed that train too, because I had the deck max rarity other than ulti invocations. I had it max rarity Italian.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Mine is I really regret not playing Sword Soul, which Butcher doesn't really know what that one is, but it's a synchro based deck and they're all worm type. And the deck was just so much fun. Like I did play Sword Soul for one tournament. My buddy loaned me a Sword Soul deck. My friend Tony loaned it to me. Corey and Arturo gave me a 5-minute Sword Soul lesson on how to play Sword Soul, and I top 4'd a case tournament with Sword Soul the first time I played it. And I don't know why I didn't take that as a sign that I should have been playing that deck. I don't know. I didn't play it. It wasn't actually even that expensive looking back on it in hindsight. So I really regret not playing Sword Soul when it was like at its peak and it was good. Like I ended up playing Branded Despia a lot of that format, which was still a really good deck, and I liked that deck a lot. I thought it was really cool, but low-key hope one day Sword Soul is like the best deck again, so I can like swoop in for one format and kind of get to play where I missed out.
Yeah, me and you were like deep on the Despia train for a while.
Yeah, dude. I almost got my second regional top 8 with Despia, and if I'd been the player I am now, I definitely would have. Like, to make a long story short, like, I actually just run through everyone that I play against at this regional with that deck. I've never had a regional that was that easy. And I played all of like the top decks. I don't even remember what they are at this point, but I played all of the top decks. I played 3 mirrors that day and just ran through everyone. Like it was so easy. And I'm at like table 5. And I play against a Sword Soul guy, and this guy literally, I mean, there's just no like sugarcoating it. This guy slow played me into time and burned me for 1200 with long one. Had I been the person I am now, like that would not have happened. It would not have even come close to happening, but I was too introverted and too scared, I guess, to say anything back then. But now I'm like, man, like I would have gotten another regional top 8 with Despia. That deck was so good. Like I don't know how good it is now, but even just to have what it had then, that deck was actually so insane.
Oh, dude, it's still insane. I can honestly say it's probably one of the best decks right now.
Yeah, always liked the concept. Always liked fusion decks and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so that's probably been like my favorite extra deck summoning mechanic is fusion.
yeah, yeah. There were throughout playing like Yu-Gi-Oh, there's never been a lot of the best decks that I really liked. I never really cared for like Tengu plants. I never really cared for Insectors or never really cared for agents all that much. It was just like I didn't like the decks that were good for some reason because I was playing Noble Knights. And uh, at this point, I can just make fun of myself for it. But I don't know what it was. I wasn't drawn to those, but I guess eventually I was because I did start playing stuff like PK when it was good and Despia and stuff like that. But now I'm just like such a meta sheep that I'm just like, if I ever play Yu-Gi-Oh competitively, I want to play a deck that's no lower than A tier. Like Lightsworn, Christia Sworn, Twilight, they're all A tier, high end A tier. But if I ever came back to advanced, I just couldn't play a deck that I probably couldn't play a deck in advanced that wasn't S tier. To be honest with you, because that would be how driven I would be to just win and top everything. To have a completely different mentality toward Yu-Gi-Oh than I used to.
What's funny is one of the decks that is slowly becoming S tier in advanced, and cause like it's funny because I used to make fun of this deck a lot, like just because it was never good, but now it's one of the best is Ubel.
Yeah, I've seen that deck like top a lot, and its support cards are actually to be a legacy archetype. They really push that deck to be good.
Oh, dude, go like when you get a chance, and Butcher, whenever you get a chance as well, go read their new fusion. It's wild. It's
Yeah,
absolutely
I
insane.
actually read it. That card is insane. Actually, it's so crazy. That
Uh,
that card and the Infernoid fusion are ignorant.
Yeah,
I'll definitely have to check it out.
yeah, like it's right now it's the good Jaden deck between Ubel and Heroes. Ubel's just the better choice.
Yeah, Ubel's cool. Never. That's definitely not a deck I ever thought would be like playable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Butcher, have you seen the Infernoid fusion? You remember those guys, right?
Yeah, I remember them.
All right, I want you to listen to how insane that this fusion monster is.
All right, let's hear
Okay,
it.
so it's a level 1 Fire Fiend fusion, 1100 attack, 1100 defense. Its materials are any 2 Infernoid monsters. It says if this card is fusion summoned, you can banish 1 Infernoid monster from your graveyard. Send Infernoid monsters with different names from each other from your deck to the graveyard equal to the banished monster's level. So this guy can just be like Foolish Burial for like 3-4 cards, just because. That's the first effect. The second effect is if it goes to graveyard or gets banished, you search for a Void spell or trap.
Wow. It is insane, like, how far the game's advanced, I guess. Like, back in the day, that would have been, like, game-breaking. Like,
Yeah,
That's
back in
insane.
the day, that puts Infernoid at tier 0, and it was already pretty close because of grass. So I can't
Yeah.
imagine if you like throw that in there with it.
That was probably one of my one deck I hated the most. I hated that deck more than Zoo was Infernoid. It just
Oh man, I hated everything about that deck. I hated how they were all quick play DD Crows. I hated how grass, for some crazy reason, they thought it was a good idea to make a card that milled 20. Like,
yeah, that deck it made my ass itch. Just just be frank about it.
like I remember specifically playing 60 just so like people couldn't grass you, or at least not do it as easy for as many cards, because like if they went first and they grassed you for 20, like it didn't matter how good or how bad you were, like you probably just won because you just hit 20 cards by activating one.
I remember during that format got so bad for me. I remember I had to play I had to play stun.
Yeah, and you did the best out of everyone at that year's nationals. You literally played barrier stun at that year's nationals.
And like Butcher, I got like I don't think you're aware of this story. So when we go to nationals that year, so I'm just like I'm just playing like Protect the Castle with like Bear Stature, Storm Winds, and Fossil Dyna and stuff like that, right? So what I ended up doing, I put just I put a bunch of cards like Phantom Knight Sword, which that was, and what that does is you equip it to it's a trap card. You equip it to a monster, and it gives it 800 attack. And if you try to destroy that monster, you can just destroy that card. You can just destroy the Phantom Knight Sword instead. And these cards just I have like that and Phantom Knight Wing and Moon Mirror Shield, and like they got a pretty good, nice size like
Bro, Moon Mirror
text on.
Shield.
Butcher,
do you know what Moon Mirror Shield does?
Actually, I don't.
Oh my god.
Okay, so this is an equip card, right? You equip it to a monster, and whenever it battles, it immediately becomes 100 higher than whatever it's battling. So you put it on a barrier statue. If it attacks the Blue Eyes, it goes to 3,100. And if Moon Mirror leaves the field, you pay 500 and put it on the top of your deck.
And like that's even if you could honest, and it's still going to be 100 higher.
Yeah, it's still going to be 100 higher.
That is literally insane.
So it was really good for degenerate decks like that. I even remember at one point walking by and watching Ty playing this guy. He has like a barrier statue that Storm Winds up with like, I don't know, like 75 floodgates, just like ruining this guy's day. The Zoo player's like wanting to pull his hair out. This man draws, it's Twin Twister, and I see him light up, right? He goes Twin Twister, pitch, target 2. This Ty flips over Starlight Road, and this guy goes, okay. You reach for the extra deck, and he was like, whoa. He's like, you can't special. And he was like, Stardust is wind. And the guy just picks up his cards and just starts putting them away. I think it was only game 2, but this man, he just gave up. He was so done. He was like, I flew all the way to Chicago for this shit, and I end up getting, not only do I end up getting beaten down by Barrier Statue, I get hit by Starlight Road in 2017, and the Stardust comes out and wins. That was amazing. Easily top 5 Yu-Gi-Oh moments of my entire life. Just watching like the life in that guy's eyes just like drain. Like he gave up. I don't even know what round that was, but I'm sure he went home.
But what made it so easy for me to do well at that tournament is that like anytime like somebody asked what the equip cards did, they had a nice size bit of text on them. So what, like instead of me reading it to them, I would just pass it to them because I knew they weren't going to read it.
Yeah, they wouldn't read the whole thing.
And then like when like my barrier statue wouldn't die, or when Moon Mirror Shield would kill their monster, they'd be like, huh? I'm just like, yeah, it does this. You read the card, right?
Yeah, you read the card. It's like the same thing with Golden Castle of Strongberg. Like no one reads like the whole card. People are like, wait, why does my monster die? They're like the field spell. They're like trying to do this thing where they're taking it back and like, oh no. No. You've already attacked. That's not how it works. So, yeah, good times. Good times for us. Do you ever wonder, and this will be our last thing we talk about before we get out of here, we all have those stories when we walk away from the table, like, oh yeah, man, I flooded this guy out with barrier statue and blah blah blah. You know, we talk about these stories, you know, for years at a time. There's probably someone out there talking about it from their perspective, which is always hilarious to me. Like, there's probably a group of guys that's like, yeah, remember that time at 2017 Nats I got beat by barrier statue in Starlight Road.
Oh, you know there is. I
Yeah.
mean, that guy that beat me at Nationals that year in top 64, he probably like tells the story of how he almost got janked out of it. And how dumb his opponent was for not, you know, pendulum summon for 5 and attacking for game.
I
Yeah.
remember.
Oh my gosh. I'm still dying at the Starlight Road thing. That's just so fucking funny. I just can't.
Dude, you remember that regional we went to where I got my invite to go to the Nationals with barrier statue?
I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that.
So I'm playing against I'm playing against Metal Foe Zoo. And I've got he chaliced my my fossil dyna and just starts going off. And I still have 5 set. And this guy is dropping everything, and he's at like $3,000 in life points. He goes to attack.
Oh no, I already know what's gonna happen. Oh no.
I flipped Blazing Mirror Force.
Okay, that's a little bit better. I thought it was gonna be Book of Moon on your own fossil dyna, but
No,
it accomplishes the same thing.
For the win.
God. That is so unhinged, dude. Like, oh man, how bad does that feel? Like, play the best deck and end up just getting destroyed by Blazing Mirror Force.
Butcher, do you remember Blazing Mirror Force?
I do.
Yeah.
Part I do remember.
Like, that dude, the look on that dude's face, I will never forget. He was in shambles. He was in absolute damn shambles.
That is so funny. That is so hilarious. I remember when Butcher started playing again, like, he had like a little bit of like a short run when pendulums were out. We were playing at Tinga's shop. You borrowed someone's pendulum deck and you attacked me, and I used Quaking Mirror Force, the one that at Book of Moons your opponent's attacking monsters, and they can't be flipped. And I was playing Ghost Tricks because for some reason I just played dumb decks. For some reason. Maybe because I was dumb.
I think I borrowed somebody's Pepe deck.
You did. Yeah, do you remember how you won? It was so random. I can't even remember I can't even believe you would have remembered what to do. But they had the fusion monster that took a Draco Slayer and a pendulum, and you revealed the contact. So I was like, damn, what is this, like 2008 Gladiator Beast format? And that was how you won. I still remember that.
Dude, that's like a dark, dark memory I didn't know I had, but it was deep in there.
Yeah. I always tell people I never forget losses that are like very specific like that. Like, I think I can remember all of them when I just lost by some like really weird way.
Those are the ones that like keep you up at night. It makes you go back to read page 3 of the old rule book and look under how did I lose.
I know I've said this, but y'all won't believe how much sleep I lost over that Nats that year. To know I should have had a prize card, because if I would have won that last round, top 32 got the Ascension Sky Dragon, I think. And, oh man, that haunted me for years. Y'all don't even know.
The thing about it too is like I feel like a big reason why that haunted you is like there's no denying that like you and Blake were like the 2 best players in our area for a long time. So like you had the mentality in Yu-Gi-Oh back at that point, which obviously you both still do, but it was like you knew how to like win and how to be good at the game when none of the rest of us did. So like if I lost, you know, it was never my fault. It was always some, you know, crazy thing that caused me to lose. But you were taking accountability for your losses back then, and I didn't really even realize what that was until very recently. Like I've thrown games in a tournament and not even realized it till 3 days later. Like I lost a match to Cody one time. 3 days later, I'm taking the garbage out. Hadn't even thought about this match and realized I completely threw the match that I should have won. 3 days later, I'm taking the garbage out. Hadn't even thought about this match and realized I completely threw the match that I should have won. 3 days later, I'm taking the garbage out. Hadn't even thought about this match and realized I completely threw the match that I should have won. 3 days later, I'm taking the garbage out. Hadn't even thought about this match and realized I completely threw the match that I should have won. 3 days later, I'm taking the garbage out. Hadn't even thought about this match and realized I completely threw the match that I should have won. 3 days later, I'm taking the garbage out. Hadn't even thought about this match and realized I completely threw the match that I should have won. 3 days later, I'm taking the garbage out. Hadn't even thought about this match and realized I completely threw the match that I should have won. 3 days later, I'm taking the garbage out. Hadn't even thought about this match and realized I completely threw the mat and I called him immediately. So like, you just had a good mentality for the game, and it sucks that that ended up happening. And all that matters is like, you still walked away with a playmat. You still did a good job, and now we're all playing Edison, so we can kind of go back and redeem ourselves from our past problems that we had.
Right.
Oh no, that was well summed up and well said, man. I completely agree.
And it still stands to this day. Butcher still holds, you know, the title of like doing the best out of our area. No one's gotten past that yet.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty cool to round this thing up with how we started talking about 2015 Nats. It's a pretty cool way of ending it. You guys have anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up?
I really enjoyed it, guys. Sometimes these deep memories are just like you forget about them. You kind of lock them away, and then you start talking about stuff, and everything comes out. And it's kind of like just a good feeling. It's kind of like being a
It is.
It's always good to go back down memory lane, like, because like a lot of these things that, you know, these like tournaments and stuff, you know, we talk about, you know, they were all like, the tournaments and stuff were all fun, but for me, everything, like, it's always been all the good memories and all the laughs that we've all shared together over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the stories that we've made it's the memories that we've made and the stories that we have to tell from them, that it's what it's all about at the end of the day, honestly. That's what's kept us going this whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, guys. Well, I think that's probably going to be it for this episode. Thank you all for listening. This is Mike, Austin, and Ty from the Edison Club signing out. Until the next one.